I hit the deck before I even hit the deck. Caleb had just finished his big entrance, shirtless, holding a beer, getting the crowd hyped like he was still in college, when I stepped outside with a paper bag and a stiff smile, praying I could just get through the damn party without a scene. My name's Ryan. I'm 32, from Charleston, South Carolina, and I should have known better. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. It was 90 degrees, sun beating down, and the whole backyard was filled with fake laughter and shirtless guys who peaked in high school. I walked across the brand new deck my dad had been bragging about for weeks, heading toward the patio table where the gifts were stacked. I was maybe 3 steps from the edge when I felt it. My feet slid out from under me like I stepped on glass. No warning, no grip. 1 second I was upright, the next I was airborne, twisting, arms flailing. I landed hard on the concrete by the pool, heard something pop, and then nothing. My legs felt like dead weight. I tried to sit up but couldn't move from the waist down. I looked around, panicked, but everyone just stood there, beer in hand, smirking. Caleb came up laughing. "Dude, that was not supposed to go like that," he said, wheezing like it was hilarious. "I just oiled the deck for the shine. Didn't think anyone would actually bite it." I tried to speak, but all that came out was, "I can't move my legs." He didn't flinch. "Stop being dramatic. You're fine." I wasn't. I knew my body, and something was seriously wrong. My back was screaming, but my legs felt like they weren't even part of me. I reached for my phone, but it had skidded across the patio. My dad barked from the grill without even looking over. "Get up, Ryan. You're making a scene." I stared at him, stunned. "Dad, I can't feel my legs." Mom leaned down with that tight, fake smile she always wore when guests were around. "Sweetheart, you're overreacting. This is Caleb's day. Please don't ruin it." That hit harder than the fall. I looked around. Nobody moved. They just watched, waiting for the punchline. Then someone shoved through the crowd, a woman in scrubs holding a solo cup. "I'm a nurse," she snapped. "Back up." She crouched beside me, checked my spine, touched my legs. I winced, but there was no reaction. She looked up, furious. "He needs an ambulance, now." That was when the room finally shifted. Silence fell. Caleb's smirk vanished. "You oiled the deck?" she asked him, sharp. His mouth opened, then closed. "It was just a joke." She stood up and yelled toward the house. "Call 911." People started moving. My mom backed away like I was contagious. My dad just kept flipping burgers. I lay there, staring at the sky, everything going numb, not just my body. The paramedics hadn't even shown up yet, but my brain was already back in that house. Not the one with the new deck and the party full of aging frat bros. The old one. The one we grew up in. Shiny floors, manicured lawn, perfect on the outside. Inside, it was all glass, polished, brittle, and ready to shatter. My dad was the type who never said, "I love you," unless it was written in a card someone else bought. Ex-military, crew cut until the day he retired, looked at emotions like they were a disease you caught if you weren't careful. Pain, weakness, sadness, shameful. If I cried, I got sent to my room. If Caleb punched me and I cried harder, I got grounded for starting drama. Mom just floated. I swear, I don't even remember her having opinions of her own. She kept the house clean, cooked dinner on time, smiled in front of neighbors, and defended Caleb no matter what he did. She never liked yelling, never liked making things worse, so she just didn't. She'd pat my arm and whisper, "Just let it go, sweetie." That was her move, letting it go, as long as it wasn't Caleb suffering. He was their star, their firstborn, strong, loud, funny. He broke a neighbor's window playing baseball in the yard. Dad paid the guy off and called him a boy being a boy. He stole $20 out of Mom's purse. She said she must have misplaced it. Caleb could have burned the house down, and they'd find a way to blame me for leaving matches where he could see them. I remember when I was 8, Caleb pushed me off my bike, and I landed face first in the gravel, busted my lip, chipped a tooth, blood everywhere. Mom drove me to the dentist, quiet the whole ride. On the way home, she said, "You know your brother has a lot of energy. You should have stayed out of his way." When I was 11, he locked me in the crawl space under the house for over an hour. It was pitch dark. I screamed until my voice cracked. When Dad finally pulled me out, I thought he'd kill him for it. Instead, he looked at me and said, "You're too old to be afraid of the dark." That was my childhood. Caleb causing damage, me getting blamed for the cleanup. Even as adults, it didn't change. He'd borrow money and not pay it back. He'd prank me at family gatherings, post embarrassing photos from high school, trash talk me like we were still teenagers. They always laughed it off. He's just teasing. Don't be so sensitive. I left home at 19, got a job doing HVAC install out in Greenville, busted my ass, built something decent for myself. I liked the quiet. I liked being needed for what I could fix. Nobody screamed. Nobody gaslit me into thinking I was imagining things. But every time I thought I was finally free, Mom would call, "Your brother misses you. Your dad wants you home for Thanksgiving. Don't hold grudges, sweetie. Family is everything." Always that guilt trip in her voice, like it was my responsibility to keep peace with the people who never gave a damn about mine. That's how they got me back for this birthday party. She called a week ago, said Caleb really wanted me there, said she had a good feeling about this one, that things were better now. I should have known better. I always should have known better. There I was, lying flat on my back, legs numb, spine on fire. And all I could think about was how familiar it felt. The helplessness, the silence, them staring at me like I was the problem. Some kid fell into the pool and started crying. Someone turned the music back up. And somewhere in the background, I could still hear my mom's voice saying, "Just let it go, sweetie. Just let it go, sweetie." That line echoed in my skull like a curse as I sat in the passenger seat of my truck, gift bag in hand, staring through the windshield at Caleb's house like it was enemy territory. I had driven 2 hours in silence, gripping the steering wheel hard enough to leave palm marks. Inside the bag was a bottle of decent bourbon, not cheap, not top shelf, and a birthday card with $100 tucked in, the kind of gift you give when you want zero conversation about it. I walked through the side gate and hit the backyard like a punch to the gut. Loud music, over-loud laughter, guys in backward hats and button-downs already buzzed by noon. They looked exactly like they did in high school, just with worse hairlines and more expensive watches. Caleb's friends, all finance guys and gym bros who never grew out of high school glory. They pounded beers, screamed inside jokes, and tossed beanbags like their lives depended on it. I didn't recognize most of them, but they recognized me. The brother, the punchline. "Yo, Ryan! Damn, man, didn't think you'd show up," one of them yelled, grinning like I was the joke. I faked a smile and kept walking. Dad was holding court near the grill, waving his hand at the new deck like it was some kind of exotic car. Custom red cedar, set me back 15 grand, worth every damn penny. I didn't say a word. Just put the gift on the table and looked for the fastest way to disappear. Too late. Mom caught me near the sliding door, pulled me aside like she was about to share a secret. Her eyes scanned me up and down. My faded polo, work jeans, scuffed boots. "You couldn't have worn something a little nicer?" she whispered. "Your dad was hoping you'd look a little more put together." I stared at her, blinking. "I drove 2 hours. I showed up. That's what I had." She sighed, smoothed my collar like that fixed anything. "Well, you're here. That's what matters." No, that wasn't what mattered. What mattered was keeping up the show. Then came Caleb. Big grin, sunglasses, arms wide like I was his best friend, and not just a piece in his game. He wrapped me in a bear hug that cracked my spine. "Look who finally decided to crawl out of his HVAC cave. How's the trailer park life?" he said loud enough for everyone to hear. I pushed away from him. "I live in an apartment." Yeah, man, I'm just kidding." He smirked. "Hey, remember when you used to sleep with a nightlight till you were like, what, 17? Laughter. Too much of it. Then another. Or that time you peed your pants at summer camp and blamed the rain? I looked around for an exit. I'd been there 15 minutes, and it already felt like an ambush. By the time they brought out the second cooler of drinks, I made my decision. I leaned toward Mom. "I'm gonna head out soon. I've got work tomorrow." Her face stiffened. "But you just got here." "I didn't come to get humiliated, Mom." Before she could answer, Caleb was behind me again. "Hold up. You can't leave yet," he said, slapping my back. "Come on, one more thing before you go. Just a quick laugh. You'll love it." My stomach turned. I should have walked right then, but I didn't. I followed him toward the edge of the deck. Caleb waved me forward like a game show host. "Right here, bro. You just gotta walk across it. Trust me, it's hilarious." He pointed to a slick stretch of deck that looked shinier than the rest. I didn't catch it at first. just looked like fresh wood in the sun. I hesitated. "What is it?" I asked, already backing off. He grinned. "It's a test your balance thing. Nothing serious. You'll see." I should have turned around, should have told him to screw off. Instead, I took 2 steps forward. My boots hit the oil patch and shot out like I was on black ice. My body flipped sideways, and I landed straight on the edge of the concrete pool border, lower back first, with a crack that echoed louder in my head than anything I'd ever heard. The air vanished from my lungs. For a second, I thought I just got the wind knocked out of me. I blinked at the sky, chest heaving, but nothing moved below my waist. I tried lifting my legs. Nothing. I reached down and couldn't feel the damn contact. Something was wrong. Deep wrong. "I can't move," I gasped. "I can't move my legs." Caleb leaned over me, blocking the sun. He was laughing. "Holy crap, that was not how I thought it'd go," he said. "You good? Or just doing your usual drama thing?" "Call someone," I said. "I'm serious. I can't move." But he didn't move, just kept smiling, like he thought it was part of the bit. "Dude, you're fine. You always pull this crap." I heard my dad's voice from the grill. "Get up, Ryan. Quit flopping around. You're not 5. My chest burned. My arms shook. I couldn't sit up. Couldn't breathe right. I grabbed at the edge of the pool, but couldn't pull myself an inch. Mom leaned down close. I smelled her perfume over the smoke and sweat. Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Please don't make a scene. It's Caleb's birthday." "I'm not faking this," I hissed. "Call an ambulance." She pulled back like I'd slapped her. "You're embarrassing yourself." Nobody moved. People stared. Someone giggled nervously. Music kept going. Then a voice cut through the mess. "Back up. I'm a nurse." The woman who'd helped earlier stormed toward me, dropped to her knees, and scanned me with the kind of focus everyone else lacked. "Where's the pain?" she asked. "Lower back. Legs are numb. I can't move them." She pressed gently along my spine. I didn't feel half of it. When she touched the edge of my hip, I nearly blacked out. She looked up, furious. "Who saw this happen?" Caleb raised his hand, awkward. "I mean, it was just a prank. I oiled the deck, but it wasn't supposed to." "You what?" Her tone could have cut glass. "It was just to mess with people. I didn't think—" She stood up fast. "Somebody call 911, now." The whole backyard froze. She turned to the nearest guy holding a phone. "Do it. He's got spinal trauma." That's when the silence hit. Caleb stepped back, his smirk gone. Dad put down his tongs. "He's serious?" The nurse pointed to the spot I'd fallen. "There's visible oil. It's slippery as hell. He didn't trip. He was set up." Mom's face went pale. I saw someone finally dial. Another guy rushed to the gate to flag paramedics. The nurse crouched beside me again, held my hand. "You stay awake, okay? Don't move. They're coming." I nodded, barely. Caleb hovered behind her, mouth half open. "I didn't mean for this. I swear." The nurse didn't look at him. She just said, "You better hope he walks again." That was the moment the party turned. Laughter gone, music still playing, but quieter now, like even the speakers were ashamed. My body wasn't working. My family stood there like I was a mess they couldn't explain. But at least someone saw the truth, and she'd called for help. The ambulance ride was a blur of sirens, heat, and pain that came in waves I couldn't explain. My brain kept trying to check out, but the nurse's voice held me to the surface. "Stay with me, Ryan, just a little longer." I stayed. Next thing I remember, I was under fluorescent lights in a freezing trauma room, half naked under a gown, the smell of antiseptic burning my nose. My body felt like it was made of concrete from the waist down. I couldn't move, couldn't feel. A doctor leaned over me, dark hair tied back, surgical mask around her neck. Her voice was calm, but not soft. "You've suffered a spinal cord injury, Ryan. There's swelling in the lumbar region. We're stabilizing you, but I need to be straight with you. The delay in getting you here might have made things worse." I stared at her. "Worse? How?" "Longer compression on the cord can increase the damage. We'll know more after the swelling goes down, but right now, there's no motor function or sensation below the waist." My throat closed. I tried to swallow and couldn't. "Are you saying I'm paralyzed?" She held my gaze. "I'm saying we don't know what recovery will look like yet. But yes, for now, you are." I turned my head and stared at the wall. Didn't speak, didn't cry, just locked it all down. About an hour later, 2 cops walked in, both in uniform, not messing around. "Mr. Thompson, I'm Officer Peters. We're taking statements related to your injury. The nurse flagged this as potential criminal negligence." I nodded, kept my voice steady. "It wasn't an accident. My brother poured oil on the deck to prank me, said it himself. He watched me fall and laughed. I told him I couldn't move. He didn't care. They took notes fast." The other officer chimed in. "Anyone else there who could have helped but didn't?" My dad yelled at me to get up. My mom told me I was ruining the party. Neither of them lifted a finger. It wasn't until that nurse stepped in that anyone did anything. The first officer looked at the nurse's statement. "Your mom and dad were present when you said you couldn't move?" Both of them looked me right in the eye. They exchanged a look, then nodded. "We've got what we need for now." 2 hours later, I heard the wheels of a gurney down the hall and the click of cuffs. A nurse told me Caleb had been arrested in the waiting room for reckless endangerment. The room got quiet after that. No one came, no texts, no calls. My own family vanished. The hospital chaplain stopped by. I waved her off. The trauma therapist offered to talk. I passed. I didn't want comfort. I wanted answers. The next day, a woman in a pantsuit walked in and introduced herself. "Amanda Reynolds, Assistant District Attorney. I reviewed your case. Caleb's being charged with reckless endangerment, possibly aggravated assault depending on the investigation. But there's something else we need to talk about." I waited. "Your parents' inaction during a known emergency opens the door to a negligence case. Medical staff said you repeatedly told them you couldn't feel your legs. Multiple witnesses heard you. We're opening a formal inquiry into them as well." I clenched my jaw. "Good." She pulled out a card. "This attorney specializes in civil injury cases. You've got a clear path to a civil suit. Pain and suffering, medical costs, long-term care. You'll need support." I stared at the card, took it. "Do it," I said. "Let's go all the way." She nodded. "You'll be contacted within the week." She left. I was alone again, staring at the ceiling. No balloons, no flowers, no phone buzzing with, "How are you?" Nothing. They dropped me the second the mask cracked. But I wasn't their problem anymore. Now I was someone else's case. And this time, I'd make damn sure someone paid. The lawyer called me 2 days later. Her name was Linda Cho. Sharp voice, zero patience for BS. "I've already pulled the police report," she said. "Caleb admitted to oiling the deck. Multiple guests heard you ask for help." The nurse documented everything. I didn't say much, just listened. "This is strong," she continued. "Very strong. We're going after the homeowner's policy first. Then we'll talk personal assets." "Good," I said. "Burn it down." We filed the suit the next morning. Civil action against all three, Caleb, Mom, and Dad. Negligence, reckless endangerment, emotional distress. Their insurance company folded quick. Paid the policy limit. $1 million. Linda called it a win. I called it step one. "The $1 million doesn't cover lifetime care," I told her. "We keep going." She didn't argue. We filed again. This time targeting personal property. The house, the savings, the pension accounts. I heard from one of her paralegals that my parents freaked. Caleb tried to get it all dismissed. He even wrote a letter to the judge calling it a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. The judge didn't bite. My parents had to sell their house. That perfect brick front colonial they always used to show off like a trophy. Gone. They moved into a one-bedroom rental near the interstate. My mom had to go back to part-time bookkeeping. My dad, retired, pissed, humiliated, mowed lawns for cash under the table. They put what was left into a medical trust, court-ordered. Couldn't touch a dime of it. That part actually made me laugh. Caleb pled out. 2 years in state prison, 3 years probation after that. The courtroom was dead silent when they cuffed him. He didn't look at me once. My parents sat in the back, stone-faced. I didn't bother to turn around. They got probation and 100 hours of community service each for reckless disregard of medical emergency. The prosecutor told me it was rare, but the judge had been furious over how long it took them to act. Linda met me outside the courthouse afterward. "This doesn't fix your spine," she said, "but they can't pretend it didn't happen anymore." "Exactly," I said. "That's the whole point." The money helped. Covered my first few surgeries, wheelchair fittings, bathroom renovations. We gutted my apartment and turned it into something I could actually live in without crawling through it. But the money didn't change the nights I laid awake thinking about how I screamed for help while my own father flipped burgers. It didn't fix the sound of Caleb's laugh right after I hit the concrete. It didn't undo the fact that my mom's first reaction was to whisper that I was ruining the day. Still, for the first time in my life, they had to face something real. No excuses, no cover-ups, no brushing it off like I was just too sensitive. I got a letter from the court 6 months later. My medical trust was locked in, their accounts drained, the house sold, Caleb was in prison, the file was closed. And for once, I wasn't the one paying the price. The first day of rehab, I puked in a trash can after 20 minutes of core work. "Don't feel bad," my physical therapist Eric said as he wiped my face with a towel. "Half the guys who come in here do the same. We call it baptism." I wanted to tell him to screw off. Instead, I nodded and asked what was next. That was the tone of the whole thing. Brutal honesty, zero pity, just a relentless push to make progress. Some days I hated it. Some days I hated him. But over time, I started hating myself a little less. The pain was like nothing I'd ever known. My spine ached constantly, muscles burned from the inside out, and my arms felt like rubber every time I tried to transfer from the chair to the mat. But there were wins, tiny ones. First I could sit up without help. Then I could shift my weight side to side. After a few weeks I started getting flashes of sensation in my thighs, like cold water trickling over skin. Eric didn't celebrate until I could do it twice in a row. "Progress isn't luck," he said. "It's earned." It took 3 months before I stood upright with braces on both legs and a walker in front of me. My hands shook. My heart felt like it was gonna explode. I moved 6 steps before collapsing onto the mat again. Eric clapped like I'd won gold. Back at home, I turned my apartment into something livable. Roll under counters, grab bars in the bathroom, voice-activated lights. The settlement money helped. For once, I could afford what I needed without begging. I picked up a part-time gig doing remote tech support, mostly software installs and troubleshooting calls. I worked from home, didn't need to put on shoes, and nobody cared that I couldn't walk to the printer. My neighbors, 2 sisters in the apartment next door, started bringing over food once a week, said they liked cooking but hated leftovers. I knew it was more than that, but I let them pretend. We'd sit out on the back patio and talk about dumb TV shows or their office drama. No pity, no judgment, just real company. And the trauma therapist I'd said no to at first, I called her a month later. Her name was Melissa. She didn't ask about my family until the 5th session. When I finally told her, she just nodded and said, "So, they never actually saw you, did they?" That line hit harder than anything Caleb ever said to me. They didn't. Not once. Everything I ever did, every success, every struggle, got filtered through what made Caleb look better or what kept my parents comfortable. They never saw me as someone with my own life, my own pain, my own damn value, and I'd spent years trying to earn their approval like it was a prize I was too dumb to win. Screw that. What I had now, the neighbors, the therapist, Eric yelling at me to keep going, that was real. That was mine. I still had bad days. Sometimes I'd drop something and lose it, slam my fist on the counter and rage at the ceiling. But I always got back up, or wheeled forward, whatever it took. Eric gave me a set of custom crutches with red handles and said, "You earned these." I walked 15 feet without sitting down, slow, awkward, sweaty. But I walked, and for the first time in my life, I didn't care who was watching. A Tuesday morning, nothing special, just me, a cup of coffee, and a fresh stack of bills. That's when the letter showed up. Handwritten address, no return name, just a halfway house in Tampa. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. Part of me wanted to toss it in the trash, unread, but curiosity is a hard habit to break. Inside was 6 pages, front and back. Neat handwriting, carefully worded, no jokes, no jabs, no, "you're being too sensitive" crap. It was Caleb. He said he started therapy while in prison, that it was court mandated, but he kept going voluntarily. Said he spent the last 2 years facing how much damage I caused and why I got away with it for so long. He didn't dodge, he listed it all, locking me in the crawl space, throwing my bike in the river, ruining my birthday with a BB gun prank, turning every family dinner into a roast, and then the fall. He wrote, "I thought it was funny. I oiled the deck thinking you'd slip, maybe twist your ankle, and everyone would laugh at you. That's what I wanted. People laughing at you, not me. But when you hit the concrete and I saw your face, I didn't know what to do. I froze. And then I laughed because it's what I've always done. I've never known how to stop being the guy who ruins things. He said he didn't expect me to forgive him, that he wouldn't even forgive himself yet. I just wanted you to know I see it now, all of it. I finished the letter and folded it once, twice, until it was a solid block of paper. Set it on the counter, didn't read it again. Melissa, my therapist, asked if I planned to write back. I shook my head. Maybe someday, I said, but not now. And maybe not ever, because a letter doesn't undo anything. It doesn't give me my legs back. It doesn't give me childhood birthdays, or peace at the dinner table, or parents who acted like I mattered. Speaking of them, still radio silence. Last I heard, they sold their rental in South Carolina and moved to some gated community outside Tucson. A cousin mentioned it in passing. Said my mom posted a photo on Facebook with the caption, "Fresh start in the desert, peace and sunshine." No mention of me, or Caleb, or the lawsuit. It was like none of it ever happened. But that didn't bother me the way it used to. I used to lie awake wondering what I could have done differently. What version of myself would have made them love me the way they loved him? Now, I don't want people who disappear when things get hard. I don't need parents who only see what they want to see. Let them pretend I never existed. Let Caleb write his letters and go to his meetings. I hope it helps him. Honestly, I do. But I'm not sending a thank you card for bare minimum accountability. Closure doesn't come in the mail. It comes when you stop waiting for people who never showed up in the first place. And I finally had. It's been 2 years. I still wake up sore most mornings, but I get up. I live alone in a place that works for me. Wide doorways, smooth floors, everything reachable. I drive with hand controls now. Took a while to get used to it, but it beats relying on anyone else. I still work from home, part-time tech support. Pays the bills, keeps my mind sharp. The best part? Nobody gives a damn that I'm not walking into an office in khakis and pretending to be fine. Twice a week, I head back to the rehab center, not as a patient, as a mentor. I meet new guys like me, fresh off their injuries, still trying to figure out which way's up. I sit beside them and tell them what I wish someone had told me. That life's not over, it's just different. Harder, yeah, but not done. That's where I met Karen. She's one of the nurses there. Smart, no nonsense, eyes like she's seen everything and still shows up every day. We started talking last year, grabbed coffee, then dinner. It's slow, no pressure, just real. She sees me, not the injury or the lawsuit or the ghost of who I used to be. And that's the difference now. Everyone around me sees me, not who they want me to be, not who I had to pretend to be. My neighbors check in without hovering. Eric from rehab still texts me dumb gym memes. Melissa, my therapist, sends me book recs that she knows I'll hate just to piss me off. Karen stops by after late shifts with takeout and a six-pack. It's not flashy, but it's solid. I don't miss the old family. I don't even think about them unless someone brings up Arizona. They made their choice. So did I. Sometimes the anger still sneaks in. A flash of it when I think about what could have been. What they took. What they didn't do. That's normal. I let it pass. What Caleb and my parents did broke my spine. Yeah. But it also shattered that lie I kept telling myself. That their approval meant anything. That I had to earn it to matter. I don't need it now. I'm not just surviving. I'm moving forward. No more pretending. No more playing the role they picked for me. I built this life, this circle, this version of myself. And it's real. It's mine. That's the win.